Hey, the opinions expressed by the Reverend are his own and no one else's. They are considered thought crime in all jurisdictions. They are coming from the heart. They are guided by the mind. They are guaranteed to kick your ass. Get ready to choke on that good collective truth cock, boys and girls. It is time once again for the Sunday sermon. Winging it. Put your hands together and pray we get through. Everybody with a drum roll. Yes. Running a little bit behind. It's been kind of crazy, boys and girls. Fade the music out a little bit here. We are coming to you live from the back porch, a little cafe in my old hometown of Houston, Texas. It's called Brazil, back in the old neighborhood. And I got to tell you, man, driving through the old neighborhood, I recognize fuck all, nothing. Just been completely sanitized, and it's ugly, man. It's so ugly. It's so ugly. Video looks like one of those really bad ghost movies. Yes, and I'm not surprised that it does. We are in some horrible lighting. Literally, the only lighting I have right now is the LED. So we're just going to call this the Bart Witch Project, maybe. We'll just call it the Found Footage Podcast. Nice homecoming. You are correct, Mr. Jude. See what else I can pull up here on the production screen. Trying to get everything rolling, man. I know I'm running behind. It's been a crazy-ass day. Trying not to overtax the Wi-Fi here. And in my efforts to avoid that, I may have to forego some of the production stuff. Yeah, man, we're indulging the last of my two vices right now. Got my coffee working and, you know, that other filthy lung-killing habit. However, a study has come out suggesting that COVID has a harder time bonding to the lung cells of smokers. Something about the active protein and the way that it bonds. You can Google that. I'm not even making it up. I know you're calling bullshit, and you should be, but you can Google it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Blair Witch, right? Cool, man. So we got Ariel, we got Chris Reyes. What's up, man? Little of that liquid enthusiasm. Little concoction they have there called Russian Java. By the way, I want to say as part of the disclaimer, yes, I am broadcasting from the back porch here in Brazil, but it should not be construed in any way, shape, or form to indicate that they subscribe to my politics whatsoever. No indication of that at all. I doubt they would have back in the day in this neighborhood, and now that the Montrose and or Shepherd area has become completely gentrified, I know they don't subscribe to it now. I am in a red state, but I am definitely in blue state country, particularly in this neighborhood. It's wow, what a day. So Patty, my favorite. Hey, hon. Hey, I'm here in Brazil. Come by. They close at 9. The mighty Bone Sayabongsa is on board, man. Bone, I thought about you tonight. I was at some live fights, and every time I go to a live MMA event, I think about you because, again, that was the coolest story ever. You guys can dig through some of the old episodes where I told the story. Bone, longtime friend and supporter, and part of one of the coolest stories in all of my years as an MMA MC. Smokers have a better chance of surviving COVID-19 and everything else. I'm unkillable, man. I'm a cockroach. Super low res rev today. Yeah. Sorry, Joey. Sorry about all the difficulties. Who else have we got on board? We got Brother Jude. We have Carrie and the old man on board from Opium Tales. It's fantastic. We got G-Dub. Way to hold it down out there, G-Dub. G-Dub has been single-handedly responsible for bringing me like a whole big, bad new audience, and I appreciate you being out there spreading the gospel, buddy. Thank you very much. George Williams back on board now that I'm out of Zuckerberg State Penitentiary. My 30 days in the hole with Facebook jail is that I'm not really flipping them off if I do it with a cigarette. red bar, right? Is that how it works? Anyway, so yeah. Uh, fresh out of fresh out of State Penitentiary, 30 days in the hole. One more shot coming. All right. We'll see how long it holds up. All right. We're going to try to get this back on. Let me give the shout outs to the sponsors very, very quickly. First of all, to Roxy and Allie and Roman and the Bemin at opiumtales.com. You can check them out at opiumtales.com or on the Twitter feed for as long as Jack Boots Dorsey allows them to continue. And also, brothers Casey and Dustin Tellison of Vogue Barbecue, the only legit barbecue in the Inland Northwest. They are a local business. They are suffering under Ainsley's lockdowns. Get out there and support them. And that's everywhere. Anywhere you might be, man, support those local businesses. So here we are. Well, that didn't take long to shut them down. Yeah, George, well, there you go. We're going to roll with it for as long as we can and just kind of see. This is our first time going live, streaming two different platforms at one time. Difficult night. Eric Garcia and Garcia Promotions. They do the Fury Fighting Championship. MC back in the day before I moved up to Washington State. They got the big break tonight. That was a really fantastic thing to have happen for them. And by the way, guys, if I'm coming through, somebody register a comment real quick, because everything like the feed for the comments is sort of like non-existent right now. Anybody, if you're on YouTube, if you're on please, if you would be so kind, so we can and see what we may see. with regard to that. See if the live feed's coming through over there. That would be kind of interesting. We're at 10 minutes into live broadcast. Somebody give me a comment, man. Somebody give me a comment. Let me know what's going on. Let's see, kicking over. Not Facebook much. All right, okay. Not Facebook. Okay. All right. Well, at least we're somewhere that showed and was out there. There were some incredible fights, and really just sort of picked up and left. You know, I've been up in San Marcos, Texas. I have been waiting. Houston is what I consider my hometown. The city of Houston, Texas made me everything that I am. Good, bad, ugly, angry, violent, hostile, any of those things. The city of Houston made me what I am. And I consider myself a Houstonian to San Marcos, but Houston is the hometown. I have a love-hate relationship with the city and all of the stuff that entails. I'm going to try to avoid overtax. I really don't know how it's coming through. I'm doing the best that I can with shoddy Wi-Fi right here. Jude says that I'm cutting in and out, and that's pretty much to be expected, more or less sort of figured on that. I'm not going to abandon it, though. We're going to roll with it for everything that it's worth because it made you guys wait all day. Yes, Christy, downtown grounds, back in the downtown grounds days. Yeah, you were, yeah. Oh, the stories we could tell, and we probably will as soon as the statute of limitations runs out. Anyway, so here we are, and I find myself back in Houston, going to be rendezvousing with a friend of mine later on this evening. Once they get everything done at the venue, I left the venue as soon as the event was over so I could get here as quickly as possible and be here for you guys. So without getting into a whole lot of the news and things like that, I'm not gonna waste a whole lot of time with that right now. I could touch on a couple of stories that are bothering me. We all know about the cancel culture issue and the way that that's being manipulated with regard to a certain Theodore Seuss Geisel. His name is actually pronounced Zeus, by the way. Little trivia thing. Don't know if you guys are aware of. But yeah, people have always pronounced it Seuss, and he finally gave up trying to correct them. At the end of the day, yes, it was his estate that pulled, and this is the fallback plan for the cancel crowd. It wasn't actually cancel culture. The way they always assure us that cancel culture doesn't exist, even as they are exercising it. The Seuss thing, he was a part of all of our childhoods. I mean, if you lived any kind of something approximating a normal childhood, he was a part of your childhood. They talk about the overt racism and stereotypes of some of his books. Most of the people that are talking about that have never seen the stuff that he did for the War Department back during World War II. That is like super offensive, and it's still no grounds to get rid of anyone. But again, their fallback excuse is that it was his family and his estate that pulled the books from publication and not any sort of outside pressure. First of all, I call bullshit on no outside pressure. But even if we assume that they exercise their free choice to pull those things, first of all, bad move. Andrew Klavan quoted a guy earlier in the week, and I thought it was a great quote. If you were being pursued by a pack of wolves and you throw them a few scraps of meat in an effort to throw them off your tail, why would they stop then? Because you've already shown them that you're willing to feed them. It's not going to stop here. But independent of that, don't let them juice that argument on you that it was the family that did it and they did it freely and of their own choice and all these other things. That may be a fact, but the family were not the ones to put pressure on our newly elected president to avoid any mention of Dr. Seuss in Read Across America Day, which is essentially a holiday to honor his birthday and what all that he did for child literacy. So don't let him use that argument on you. Don't let him tweak it. Also, a couple of things coming down the pike that I want you guys to pay particular attention to. One would be the gun control bill. It was HR1. Now it's been modified to something else. We knew that was coming. And I still remain of a certain level of faith to say that most of the more extreme elements of that bill are not going to make it. I think there's enough dissent right now among the Democrats in the House and certainly in the Senate that are not jumping in line with the cadaver in chief. They're not going to play that game. I could be entirely wrong on that, but watch that bill closely. But the one to really pay attention to are all of the things in the stimulus bill. First of all, they are sending out checks to convicted felons. That's right. Dylan Roof, the hate poster boy that committed the shooting and killed a dozen people. Yeah, he's getting a check. Guess who's paying for it? Yeah, that's you. Yeah, you're going to be paying for that. Yeah, Dylan Roof is getting a check. The surviving Tsarnaev brother is going to be getting a check, and this is all going to be done at your expense. So, yay, congratulations. And meanwhile, the fawning Washington Post, the Pravda of the West, said that, what was it? They painted him up like a savior. He's showering us with money and yanking thousands out of poverty and any other such nonsense. Just, like I said, don't get caught up in the word games. I'm not seeing a lot of feedback here, and I don't really know how much of the feed is getting through. It says that I'm still live, and I'm hoping that you guys are still on board here with me. Drop a comment or two down over here, if you would, so I can know who's in and who's out. If you guys have already lost patience with the feed, and I can't say that I blame you. But then you also know that I'm in love with the sound of my own voice and will continue to do this podcast even if no one responds. I don't suggest playing that game with me, though, man. Don't be mean. Anyway, so here we are heading in. Here's the big story. The big story still on YouTube. All right, good. Which comments, Facebook or YouTube, whichever. Just drop me something. Just keep it coming about every couple of minutes just to let me know. George William, yes, Stalin and Hitler would love to have a press corps like we have now. I don't know if you saw the post earlier, but yeah, I was just like, no disrespect intended to North Korea, but Kim Jong fucking Un would be proud to have a propaganda minister that did the kind of job the Washington Post did today for Joseph Biden. Ryan, good to see you, bro. Glad you made it. So yeah, again, they're playing word games. Here's a little thing, and this is just something I was musing on, a little seed that I want to plant. But what was the thing that we were told about the crazy orange motherfucker? What was it we were told about him? The movie that they kept referencing. Come on, you guys remember it? It's a classic. The original starred Frank Sinatra. The remake starred Denzel. Come on, you guys know the one I'm talking about. We'll see who pops up with it in a comment first. Come on, you know the one. Raymond, why don't we pass the time by playing some solitaire? Raymond Shaw. Raymond Prentice Shaw. You know the one that I'm talking about. You know the movie that I'm referencing. The Manchurian Candidate. That's what we were told. For 4 solid years, we were told that he was a Manchurian candidate for the Russians. A Russian puppet, a Manchurian candidate, and all these other things. This is what we were told, that he was a puppet holding down operations for a foreign government within the boundaries of the United States Oval Office. And that is what we were told. I want you to ponder this for a minute. What more closely approximates a Manchurian candidate? A guy who was lambasted with allegations for 4 years, none of which ever materialized in spite of the best efforts of the entire United States intelligence community, that was clearly dead set against him holding power. Or say a guy who is aging, decrepit, can barely string 2 sentences together while reading off of a teleprompter, clearly in early onset dementia and major stages of cognitive decline, who they appoint to office with some major irregularities, and I'll leave it at that to avoid Facebook censorship. He makes it into the office, and for 2 months doesn't do a State of the Union address, doesn't do an individual press conference. He gets up there and stares and mouths the words like a puppet, and then is quickly hustled off stage before the press can ask him to answer any questions. In the meantime, he has his underlings doing his bidding for him. Has his underlings meeting with foreign ministers, foreign diplomats, things like that. And he's coming in with a pretty good indication that he may be compromised to another foreign adversary. Which of those two scenarios that I postulated more closely approximates the true definition of what it is to be a Manchurian candidate? Even more so once they remove him after he has served his purposes as a figurehead. Again, we don't do the black pill thing here. We don't. We're not going to get depressed about that. We're not going to get upset about it. We're not going to do the, give up all hope, America is over kind of thing. We don't do that here. We don't do that here. I don't allow it here. Won't stand for it. But if you're not at least, I won't say profoundly disturbed, but if you're not at least vaguely unsettled by watching this Muppet get up and perform on cue, reading off the teleprompter as best he can, time and time again, barely holding it together, what am I doing here? That sort of thing. If you're not at least vaguely unsettled by that, I submit to you, sir or madam, that perhaps you're just not paying attention. But we're not going to do a deep dive on that. Again, we're already running behind schedule, and we're doing the best that we can with limited resources and spotty Wi-Fi. I appreciate you guys' patience for staying with me. Here's what I want to get into, and I'm hoping that the feed will allow me to at least properly address it. You saw the quote. Yeah, I'll answer some questions if that's what they want, Nance. Jesus, dance, puppet, dance. You saw the quote that I posted from Voltaire about the difficulty of getting a fool to take off the chains that they've come to revere. Clayman touched on this earlier in the week, and he riffed on it, but he riffed on it in sort of a different way. He went purely political with it. I'm gonna touch on it briefly, and then we're going to move on to the more important facet, as I see it, of the way that this thing is coming together. We have the chains that are placed on us, and I think probably the best example I can think of is being here in the state of Texas. The best example in recent history that I can think of would have to be the mask mandate. Now, I don't mind that people are upset by that. People who have been exposed to limited information, all within the scale of the official narrative, of course they're going to be bothered by that. They're going to be scared shitless by that. Why wouldn't they be, right? But we actually had a semi-prominent Texas politician, Beto O'Rourke, who referred to Republicans as and I'm not making this up, you can Google the quote. He referred to Republicans as a death cult. A death cult. I want you to ponder that for a minute. Why? What is our crime? What is our death culty sort of thing? Well, we decided to give people a choice about whether or not to wear a mask. We didn't demand anybody remove one. We didn't even say that businesses couldn't demand that their customers continue to use social distancing and masks and things like that. We just basically said, hey, man, we're going to give people a choice. And people lost their fucking minds. A couple of years ago, back in Oregon, I don't know how familiar any of y'all are with the Pacific Northwest, and particularly the state of Oregon, but up until a couple of years ago, you were not allowed to pump your own gasoline in the state of Oregon. That's right. Like if you pulled into a gas station, there were still attendants that came out and pumped your gas for you. You were literally not allowed to pump your own gasoline in the state of Oregon. And a couple of years ago, they came through with a resolution that said that in rural areas, people would be allowed, not even mandated, by the way, not even mandated, said that people would be allowed to pump their own gasoline at their discretion. Now, you would think that wouldn't be a big deal, living as the rest of us do in places where self-serve is the rule. But the people of Oregon, particularly around the Portland area, which is to be expected, collectively lost their fucking minds, postulating all these potential harms that could come from you having to pump your own fucking gas. Now, I can understand to a greater or lesser degree people being disturbed at the prospect of a viral infection taking root and expanding with the removal of the mask mandate. You can at least make a case for that. But the point that I'm getting at about revering your chains is that it doesn't even have to be something that severe. You can look at a state full of otherwise intelligent people, ostensibly adults, who suddenly, after years of having the shackle of not being allowed to pump their own gasoline, exclamation point in parentheses, were suddenly given the option, not mandated, not told they had to do it, but given the option to pump their own gasoline. And they came completely fucking unhinged. This is what I'm talking about with regard to revering your chains. You don't even realize that they're chains, or maybe you're even aware that they're chains. But goddamn, you've been in these chains for so long, and you've been wrapped up in them that they're just so fucking comfortable. You'll actually fight somebody. You'll violently oppose somebody for coming to try to take those chains away. This is where we're at. And I say this this is where we're at as a nation. But I don't think it's necessarily where we're at as a nation. In fact, we're polarized as a nation because half of us are not there. But as a culture, we're definitely there. James Pearson, the only thing people fear more than the way things are is for things to change. I'm going to play with a little thing here. Wow, I can make it do that now. Still learning my way around StreamYard. You guys tell me if James' comment showed up just now. The only thing people fear more than the way things are is for things to change. And you're absolutely correct. Who the fuck are they? Yeah, the mysterious they, Joey. That's another sermon entirely. But yeah, that's where we are as a culture. We have come to revere all sorts of chains, whether it's unnecessary regulation, whether it's unnecessary taxation, whether it's extra jurisdictional mandates, powers that are being exercised that these people didn't have the right to exercise in the first place. And we're afraid because we've gotten so wrapped up and comfortable with having that power exercised over us that if you try to take away their power to exercise it, they get upset, but they don't even have to show that they're upset. It's the people down underneath them that are begging to have those chains put back on. This is how cultures fade. This is how nations die. All based on what? All based on fear. Now, That's the political end. And as I said, Klavan riffed a little bit on that. But I'm going to take it in a different direction since we're on that revering our chains thing. And since not so very long ago, some of you guys, my people, my Reverend Rangers, my Sinner Sisters, my Prophets of Doom, some of y'all were wearing a big set of chains on yourselves without really thinking about it. Hear me out. I'm not dogging you guys out, but I'm just trying to raise some self-awareness here. Right after the election, right after the Georgia election, where Congress went 50-50, and all along the thing, every cancel culture phenomenon that comes down the pipeline, I see it coming back to that. You've gotten yourselves wrapped up in some chains, and these chains aren't anything that's being put on you. Well, in a way, those shackles are being saddled on you by way of media perception. And I understand that can be a very, very overwhelming thing. Even on social media, when you see people that you know and love and personally know to be intelligent, rational, thinking creatures acting irrationally. When you see that happen, those chains feel heavier. Those chains that you've saddled yourself with feel heavier and heavier. They start breaking you down. But keep in mind, there are people out there, myself included, and a lot of y'all included, that reach out however we can, whether it's a live stream through spotty Wi-Fi or occasional Facebook post or a witty meme, that are reaching out, trying to take those chains off of you. Some of y'all have gotten comfortable in those chains of fear, those chains of negativity, those chains that are telling you, those chains that are telling you falsely that all hope is gone. Pardon the dramatic pauses, but I'm trying to keep an eye on the Wi-Fi icon right now, and I know it's cutting in and out. But they have set those chains on you, and some of you have set those chains on yourself, and you refuse to have them removed. Why? Because they chains that you have come to revere. You come to feel comfortable with those chains of it's never going to get any better. All hope is lost. America is over. We'll never be able to dig out from under this. It's real easy to lament the chains that other people place on us. It's real easy to lament the chains that other people place on themselves. But sometimes, take a look in the mirror. Sometimes we have to turn that mirror around on ourselves and take an honest and unflinching look at the chains with which we have saddled ourselves. couple of bouts tonight at the fights. One in particular, and if you guys go back and watch, you'll see the one that I'm talking about. Guy looked like he was out of it. Looked like he was on his last leg. He caught a lucky break. The referee didn't stop the fight, and he stayed in it, and he turned around and he won a title tonight. You don't think there were some chains laying heavy on his shoulders, flat on his back, in the middle of a cage with a roaring crowd around him and a guy raining elbows on his face like it was a hailstorm? But he didn't give in to the chains. He did not give in to those chains. He didn't let that saddle him. Yeah. Interesting that you mentioned 3%, Roman. So again, take a look at the chains that are on you right now, and we've all got them, myself included. We've all got them. Anita the head was oh shit, Patty, you were watching that. Cool. Were you watching that live, Patty? Because if you were there and you didn't say something, I'm upset with you. Back to it. Take a good unflinching look at the chains that are holding you back. The ones that you've come to revere, those chains, like Voltaire said, that you've come to revere. Take a look at the ones that are holding you back. Maybe it's not political. Maybe it's not social. Maybe it's something on a personal level. Maybe you're at a horrible job, but you don't want to leave because the market's tight. Maybe you are in a relationship that outlived its usefulness years ago. Yeah, all of a sudden I just became motivational speaker for the damned. Maybe you're in a job that no longer suits you. Maybe you're in a relationship that no longer suits you. Maybe your entire lifestyle has gotten consumed with things that are laying those chains on you and dragging you down. And those are chains that you have come to revere. And maybe you're rut, but by God, it's your fucking rut. And you're really comfortable down in it, aren't you? Take an unflinching look in the mirror and look at those chains and figure out how to remove them. You want to lay around depressed and think that America is over, or you want to get your ass up and do something? Start your own podcast. Post something to Facebook. Engage in a one-on-one conversation with a real live human fucking being. And take a chance that they may disagree with you, and that's okay. Don't like where you're at? Do a push-up, singular. Walk around the block, singular. Lift a weight, singular. Because I promise, the more of these weights that you're lifting, the more of these weights and chains and shackles you're taking off. But it's got to start with you. Nobody else is going to come along and do it. That is the difference between us and those other folks that we're discussing that have come to revere those chains. They're waiting for somebody else to come save them. They need big papa government to tell them how to fucking behave because they're incapable of controlling their own fucking lives. Do you want to lie down with them? Or do you want to find your spine, let your fucking balls drop, and take your life into your own fucking hands? Because I promise you, in this day and age, nothing on the planet is ever going to be more important. So take a look at the chains that are on you right now. Take a look at which ones you have come to revere and ask yourself, why? Why am I comfortable in this? Why am I okay in this job beaten down day after day? Why am I okay coming home to a woman or a man who doesn't fucking love me anymore? Motherfuckers break out of maximum security prisons, and you can't walk away from a relationship. Hashtag get bent. Yes, it's important to be able to recognize how those chains lay on everybody else and how it affects their lives. But it's only important for one fucking reason. Two reasons, actually. One, as a comparison contrast of what you don't want to be, but more as a factual and observational analysis of how to not be them. As Sonny says, no excuses. Yes, George, believe it. I have a couple of nasty scars I can show you. Let's just say that weapons retention classes with a Kalashnikov platform can leave scars. All joking aside, people, let these Chicken Littles run around with their heads cut off. Sorry, I'm mixing metaphors, but there it is. Let them run, man. Let them panic. Let them tell you you're evil for not seeing the world the same way as them. Let them depend on Big Papa government or some sky god to come save them. Don't be like them. No one is coming to save you. Sorry about your penis. Real sorry about your penis. I don't know if you heard the engine revving. No one is coming to save you. And even assuming they were, if you're drowning and they're coming to save you, it's going to be a hell of a lot easier for them to pull you out if they don't have to carry the weight of all your extra fucking chains. I am the Reverend. That is the gospel. Appreciate you guys coming out. I appreciate your patience with me through this whole process, for making you wait as long as I did, for the spotty Wi-Fi, for the bad lighting, for the ghost face shit that I got going on right now. But regardless, even if we had to run it late, and even if we had to run it more or less half-assed with all the complications, I would rather come on here and have this time with you than to not have it. I'm always telling you guys that I hope that I'm bringing something to your life, but I need to acknowledge every one of y'all. I need to acknowledge every one of y'all, because y'all showing up, especially on a night like tonight where I'm running late and everything's all fucked up, and you guys are sticking around and staying over here in the comment section and hanging right to the bitter fucking end. You don't know what that does for me. Every time I'm feeling the drag of my own chains, oh man, why do I keep doing this? I feel like a lone voice in the wilderness. And then I get here on a Sunday and I see the responses. This is a reciprocal thing, people. And I want it to remain a reciprocal thing. And I appreciate every goddamn one of y'all. Every one of y'all. I love you, man. Appreciate it. Thanks. As I said, I am the Reverend. That is the gospel. I'm going to pass around the digital collection plate like we always do. If you can afford to throw a little coin in, I'm on PayPal, I'm on Venmo, I'm on Cash App, I'm on Facebook Pay, I'm on all those things. But even if you can't, and I know a lot of y'all can't, and that's totally okay. The main thing that I want y'all to do is get out there and spread the word. Tell the rest of the world about this crazy motherfucker who does an hour-long rant every Sunday, more or less at the same time. And we're going to go out, as always, with some clutch. Hopefully by next week, we'll still be doing the co-stream on the 2 different platforms and of a better microphone and a proper camera. Hopefully. See if we can make it happen. But as always, man, as always, above and beyond, more important than any of this stuff, you guys already know. You know where I'm going. Be the signal, not the noise. Be the light in the darkness, and be that strength in a world full of weakness. Find that strength within yourself and help somebody else to find it. We got too many people on the fence. And every time one of them shakes off, guess what? When they fall on our fucking side. You see them stumble. You see them dragging those chains around and loving them. Rip those chains up off of them, man. It's the least we can do for those kindred spirits and those like-minded individuals, man. And y'all are out there. For my Reverence Rangers, for my Prophets of Doom, for my Sinner Sisters. Thank you. You guys honor me. I love y'all. Get it a little cleaner for next Sunday, but we'll be here. Hopefully you guys will be here too. Thanks for coming out. You guys stay strong. Peace.